Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to talk about data management plans. Apologies for the technical difficulties, but we will be recording this webinar and also sharing out the resources that we have today with everyone who has registered. So we're excited to share some helpful information today and tools and resources to help you be successful in creating your data management plan. And I wanted to highlight that you can ask questions in the chat, but also in the Q&A section in the Teams features, and we will try to get those at the end if we have time. But again, this will be recorded and resources will be shared out after this webinar. So with that, my name is Dr. Kelsey West. I am the manager for data informatics for the Center of Managed Technology Services here at Texas A&M AgriLife. And my background is in immunology, molecular biology, and bioinformatics, but have spent much of my time in biotech and different applications, and now am at the Center for Managed Technology Services. And today I am joined by Dr. Megan Bergeron from the Division of Research and Research Development Service.
Hi, everybody. I'm Megan Bergeron. I'm a Senior Research Development Officer in Research Development Services. We help investigators develop their proposal from idea conception through all the way through submission. I've been with Research Development Services about 3 years, and I've been in research administration for about 15 years total. So I'm happy to be here today with you all.
Thank you, Megan. And so our objectives for today for this talk is defining what a data management plan is, or you'll see it abbreviated as DMP, and explaining the importance of this part of the proposal in the research process and grant proposals. And we want to identify the core components that make up a well-structured DMP and describe the all-important question of what reviewers expect and what they evaluate when reviewing a DMP. And lastly, but still very important, how to utilize the tools and resources that are available to assist in writing an effective DMP. And Megan is going to start us off with what a DMP is and the importance of this proposal component.
Thank you, Kelsey. All right, next slide. So for federal grants, the data management plan is not just a supplementary document or just a regular administrative add-on. It is an important document that shows reviewers and sponsors that the research team has thought through how the project data will be responsibly managed, how results can be validated and reused, and how the project will meet funder expectations for public access and for responsible stewardship. NSF describes the data management and sharing plan as a required proposal component, explaining how the project will manage, disseminate, and share research results. And NIH similarly expects their applicants who are generating scientific data to describe how data will be managed and shared. So it's an important document for your grant proposal, and a strong data management plan will answer the question, what will happen to the data from this project from the moment it is created through long-term preservation and sharing. Next slide, please. A data management plan is important because it helps ensure that research data are findable and understandable. That means that that data should be organized and described well enough that the research team, and when appropriate, other researchers can interpret it and use it later. That the data are protected and responsibly shared. That means that the plan should address sensitivity, proprietary human subjects access, controlled access, or otherwise restricted data, including when data cannot be fully shared. It helps ensure when data are preserved beyond the project period, meaning that reviewers want to know that valuable data will not just disappear when the grant ends or when staff leaves or if there's a local storage system change. The data management plan ensures that your data is aligned with sponsor policy. That means that federal agencies have increasingly emphasized public access to federally funded research outputs, including the data underlying publications. and that the data are connected to rigor, reproducibility, and impact, meaning that good data management supports transparency, verification of results, future reuse, collaboration, and broader dissemination of project outcomes. So the goal is not necessarily to share every piece of data with everyone. The goal is to manage the data intentionally and share it as much as it is appropriate, ethical, legal, and useful. All right, next slide. Let's talk about the core components of a data management plan. All right, you can go on. Thank you. Most data management plans include some version of the following core components, though the exact headings may vary by sponsor. So be sure to pay close attention to your sponsor guidelines. But these can give you some ideas of what you can expect in a data management plan. So you'll have to talk about the data types and the expected products. That's where you will describe the kinds of data, the materials, code, software, protocols, documentation, all of those research products that your project will generate. NIH's data management and sharing plan guidance specifically asks applicants to describe the scientific data to be managed and shared, just to give you an example. And that includes the data types and the estimated amounts where appropriate. Another common component, or it would be the standards and the documentation. And that's where you would explain how data will be documented so that others can understand them. And that includes your metadata standards, code books, data dictionaries, file naming conventions, lab notebooks, pretty much everything under the sun. Another component would be storage, backup, and security. And that is where you would describe where your data will be stored during the project, how often it'll be backed up, who will have access, how the team will protect any data from loss and corruption or unauthorized access. Another component is the preservation and long-term access section. There you will talk about or identify where your final data sets or other research products will be preserved after the project ends. This could include discipline-specific repositories or institutional repositories, federal repositories, or some other trusted platform. Another component is the data sharing and access section, where you will explain what will be shared, when it will be shared, how others will access it, whether access will be open, embargoed, controlled, or restricted. NSF now really emphasizes how the timely sharing of data or data supporting NSF funded publications to be provided in this plan. The roles and responsibilities is another section, and this is where you will identify who is responsible for data management activities. This includes the PI, the co-PIs, the project managers, data managers, any graduate students, core facilities staff, repository staff. So it's important to identify who's responsible for doing what. Another section is the restrictions, ethics, and compliance section, and there you will address human subjects protections, privacy, confidentiality, intellectual property, export control, FERPA, HIPAA, all of those proprietary data or sponsor-specific requirements. And then lastly, there's a budget and resources section that's often a part of the data management plan, where you will describe whether costs are needed for data curation, repository fees, storage, software, personnel time, transcription, metadata preparation, or even long-term preservation. For example, NIH allows reasonable allowable costs for data management and sharing to be included in the budget. So there could be a section in your data management plan where you discuss this. All right, let's move on to what grant reviewers are looking for. Reviewers are looking for a data management plan that is specific, feasible, compliant, and appropriate to the project. So a strong data management plan should answer these questions. is the plan specific to the project? You should avoid generic language. The plan should identify your actual data types, your expected format, storage locations, repositories, access conditions, responsibilities, basically all of those sections we just discussed. It should answer the question, is this plan realistic? Does the team have the personnel, the infrastructure, the budget, and the timeline to carry out this plan? Is the data sharing strategy appropriate? Reviewers are not expecting every single data set to be openly released in every situation. They're looking for a well-justified approach to sharing restricted access, embargoes, or non-sharing when ethical and legal or contractual constraints apply. Will the data be usable by others? Shared data should include enough documentation, metadata codes, methods, or contextual information for others to understand it and reuse it. Does the plan align with sponsor requirements? The data management plan should follow the specific solicitation and agency guidance. For example, NSF requires the data management and sharing plan as part of proposals, while NIH requires this plan for applicants who are generating scientific data. So just be sure it aligns with the sponsor requirements. Does the plan support rigor and transparency? Reviewers want confidence that the data underlying the project findings will be managed, preserved, and available as appropriate to support the reproducibility and future research. That's the biggest point, I guess, there. All right, next slide. Let's talk about some common weaknesses for a data management plan. So that would be just vague statements that like data will be shared upon request without explaining how or where or under what conditions. There's no clear repository or preservation strategy. There's no discussion of metadata or documentation or file organization. There's failure to address sensitive or restricted data. The plan conflicts with methods, human subject protections, or dissemination. There's no assignment of responsibility for data management tasks, and there's no budget or resource plan for when staff time is that will require staff time, curation, storage, or repository fees. The key takeaway here is that a data management plan is a stewardship plan for your research project. It tells the sponsor and the reviewers that you can responsibly manage this data, that you will protect sensitive information, you will support the transparency and reproducibility of this data, and you will maximize the value of the research beyond the life of the award. Grant reviewers and sponsors, they want the most bang for their buck. So when the grant is over, they want to know how it can continue. A strong data management plan is specific, compliant, realistic, responsible, and useful. It's specific to the project. It's compliant with sponsor requirements and guidelines. It's realistic for the team and the budget. It's responsible about privacy, ethics, and restrictions. And it's useful for future access, validation, and reuse. And with that, we have our next section that Kelsey will guide us along. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you, Megan. So Megan just defined for us some of the key components of a data management plan and what to include. And you still might be thinking, though, how do I put all of that together? Are there any resources out there at Texas A&M or even beyond to help me with my data management plan? And the resounding answer is yes. And so one of these tools I'm going to share and kind of walk through a demo with you today to highlight is called DMP Tool. And this tool was developed out of University of California, but it is a free tool to use to develop and manage and maintain your data management plans for all of your grants and projects that you have. So luckily with Texas A&M faculty and staff, you also have access to this tool where you can log on via your SSO, so your single sign-on, and log in that way, but you're also able to sign up with another account if that would be more helpful for keeping track of your data management plans. So I'm going to switch my screen over to highlighting the DMP tool. So once you're logged in and you've signed up, I have signed up here with my A&M account, you will have access to a bunch of different templates that are utilized for data management plans. And these can go for a wide range of funders from, the more bigger ones like NSF, NIH, USDA, but there are several other groups and sponsors here that you can download the templates and view what's required for their data management plans specifically. So instead of having to search through every site for every funder ever, this allows you to condense those efforts and search for your different sponsor here. And you can also view example plans from different institutions that other researchers have shared. So you're able to search by the funder and the institution for different examples and maybe data management plans that apply more specifically to your research and how they share their data and how they're managing their data. And what's the core function of this platform is when you go to create a plan. So when you create a new plan, and you can have, again, multiple for however many grants or projects you want to keep track of. Again, like Megan was saying, this is a data stewardship plan, and it should be a living document for all of the projects that you're keeping track of. So you can start by using the name for whatever research project you're planning, the research organization that you're affiliated with, and then the primary funding organization. And this will auto-generate all of the available ones they have on DMP tool, but you can also select if your funder isn't available there to still use the tool, but you might have to go to get a specific template from that particular funder. And so once you have started that process, we'll just go into one of these that I have created as an example. This will launch the page to have your project title, your abstract, all this information to keep track of your particular data management plan. You also, which is a cool feature for DMP tool, have the ability to select guidance. So this will, on the next page, provide you different links and also questions and comments on the particular questions that a DMP is asking for in the template. So for here, we have the DMP tool selected. So it's going to be their guidance based on the questions asked. And then you can also select Texas A&M University, but there's a full list of different institutions you can select from to have different ideas and how to share your data management plan, but also the different resources that are available. So you can also add collaborators, which is a great tool for individuals who want to share their data management plan with other collaborators on their project. But the main function of this is this write plan. So for this particular project, I selected NIH. So the NIH guidelines and the NIH template are what is going to be loaded here. And thankfully, most recently, the NIH really updated their data management plan requirements, and they have a bunch of formatting in yes or no questions with the output, the data outputs, and different requirements in smaller text boxes. So you can click those answers, how it regards to your data and your project. Again, this guidance comes up here on the right where you can look at the NIH guidance for this particular question, what the terms relate to, what are some examples, and you can also look at PAMU, particular guidance and the different questions they have, as well as data sharing and the recommendations for the repositories and how you're sharing your data, your code books, different data types that you'll have, how you'll share it, and those questions are available here. So once you've filled out your particular template, you'll be able to finalize the document and download. So finalize is a funnier term here, but you can always go back and modify this particular project and management plan if you need to. But you can download in different formats the data management plan, and it'll generate a data management plan that is filled out. Zoom in here. For particularly this format was the NIH format. So this is just an example. These are different types of responses you can have, but more critical is that expected outputs table that's going to be really specific to your project and where you're going to have your data in a repository, or example, if it's protected or controlled data, explaining that there. But really, DMP tool is a great resource for anyone looking to manage their DMPs, their data management plans in one place, and you can store it here and have all these helpful guidance and comments and feedback all in one place for your data management plans. So if you use DMP tool, which I highly recommend, we can then, if you're looking for a particular funder, I did want to mention this. So if you can't find your specific funder on DMP tool, there is a tool called Spark that will also have a lot of different templates for specific funders and their data management plans. But if we've done all of that in the DMP tool and you still have questions about your data management plan, that's all right. You have so many additional resources available here at Texas A&M. And the good news is you don't have to figure it out alone. So there are centers, institutes, and platforms here to help you at every step in your proposal. And this doesn't just come from just the data management plan. This is every component of a proposal. So like Megan was mentioning, with the Division of Research and Research Development Services, they'll work alongside you, providing a full array of services for everyone from early career to senior experts to strategize and find and win funding, and really supports researchers at every career stage. You also have sponsored research services, so SRS, underneath the Division of Research as well, that will help you with preparation and submission of proposals, and the Office of Research Compliance and Biosafety, which helps with insights and recommendations on the human research protocols and protections, as well as occupational health services and IACUC and animal research and IBC. But on top of Division of Researches, so again, almost limitless resources here available for you at A&M. We have cutting edge facilities and services and institutes that investigators and research programs can utilize for their research teams. So things like the Microscopy and Imaging Center, the Materials Characterization Facility, sequencing cores, as well as state-of-the-art instrumentation and technologies and specialized scientific services. And the Research for Development Services page and website at the Division of Research has a great website and awesome page linking to all of the different centers available. And one of these centers is a center I work for, which is the Center for Managed Technology Services. And while we might be housed in Texas A&M AgriLife, we serve researchers across the system, including VetMed, even Texas A&M San Antonio, Prairie View A&M, and it doesn't stop there. So no matter where you're located, we're here to help. And maybe you're unsure where to get started with your data management plan because you have data and analysis or technology needs that are beyond your team's capacity. And so we don't want your research projects to have to build technical capacity from scratch or watch it disappear when a grant ends or staff member moves on. Like Megan was mentioning, your data management plan, the reviewers want to know how you're going to continue that data so it doesn't just end when the grant ends. And CMTS offers technical experts directly to you that can help keep that support in place over time. And while we're not the central IT department, so we're not going to help you necessarily reset your password, we want to be your research partner embedded in your project from day one to help with all of your technology needs. And we have a bunch of different services that we offer and things like data informatics. So really applicable to data and management plans where you need help with building scalable data pipelines, bioinformatic workflows, statistical and machine learning environments. Everything with AI is becoming more and more popular, but more so making sure your data is reproducible and your code and pipelines are reproducible, as that's such a core factor for data management plans. We also have technology and engineering, which will help with management of servers, cloud infrastructure, managing your workstations and instruments, as well as vendor management and data storage needs. Again, Megan was mentioning how core of a component storage is and thinking about that before the grant ends or you're nearing your ending of your proposal. We also have software applications with custom software design and ongoing maintenance, and also web and digital platforms where we can help you build and program and help with accessibility as well as maintaining your websites and applications. And you can leverage all of these CMTS domains in your proposal process. This isn't just after an award. This is not just limited to a data management plan. And that goes for all of the resources, the centers, the institutes at A&M. You can make sure that you're including those in not just the data management plan, so things that we were talking about with storage and security, sharing protocols, but also the FAIR compliance with making sure your data is FAIR, that acronym, findable, accessible, interoperable, and I'm blanking on the R, but it is in the data sharing quick start we'll be sharing to Megan. I'm sorry, did you say the R?
I think reproducible.
Reproducible. Of course, I just said that. Thank you. So we'll also be sharing a resource guide for data sharing, and it's just a quick guide that we put together because we did see a lot of questions in the registers about data sharing practices, and it could be a whole other talk on its own, so let us know if you're interested in that. But another area of your proposal that you can include these centers like CMTS or other core facilities so that the reviewers know that you have the facilities available to you to make sure that your research is successful. And even in your methods and research plan, the analysis pipelines, the computing resources, all of those are resources that you have here at A&M that you can cite that reviewers will know you have the infrastructure to make this project succeed and this proposal happen. Same thing with facilities and resources. The expertise, the service domains at CMTS, as well as the other facilities and centers and institutes we have here at A&M. You want to show reviewers that Texas A&M has the infrastructure to make this project succeed. And with that, for our talk today, I hope you at least take away one useful item in your data management plan process, and from our talk today, with the important highlights being the core components of a DMP and knowing what reviewers are looking for, like the data types and data products, how you're going to store those long-term, access long-term, and data sharing, and what reviewers are looking for in each of those components. And also using tools like DMP Tool that helps you easily construct and manage your data management plan. And most importantly is that you have a limitless expertise here available. I will say almost limitless expertise here available at Texas A&M to support you with every aspect of your proposal, from the research development services that Megan's part of, as well as CMTS, where I'm at, but all of those centers and core institutions that Texas A&M has. And the data management plan is not just a checkbox on your proposal. It's a requirement and it allows you to look stronger, and your research looks stronger, and your proposal more competitive, the most important. I wanted to remind everyone that we will be sharing today's talk, recorded talk, and slides, as well as that data sharing quick start guide to make them available on our websites, but also through email, we'll be sharing those out. And I encourage you to visit the RDS website as well as the CMTS website, and you can find the links to a lot of those centers and institutions, any kind of technology or scientific solution that you would need on the RDS website. And thank you all for your attendance and your patience today. Again, we'll be sending this webinar out, so please share with anyone who would be interested in viewing. And if there are any questions via chat, we can answer those now. I know we're going a little bit over, but we will also be sending out a post-webinar survey where you can let us know any additional topics you'd like us to present on or share resources for. And we really appreciate it, everyone attending today. So thank you so much.
Thank
and
you,
thank
everybody.
you, Megan.
Thank you, Kelsey.